Let's open the file linedrawing.psd along with the 4 documents whose names start with the word pattern. With the line drawing in front of us, let's pick up the Magic Wand tool from the toolbox and click in one of the segments of this drawing. We'll get the marching ants around the segment, and now let's go and copy one of the patterns we have opened. I will pick the cloth pattern. I will select all with Command A and copy with Command C. I will go back to the line drawing, and where I have a selection ready, and instead of pasting with Command V, I will go to the main menu under Edit, Paste Special, Paste Into. What we get as a result of Paste Into is the pattern we just pasted contained by the boundaries of our selection. Let's see how this works. In our Layers window, you can see that on the new layer we got created with our pattern, we get 2 thumbnails. One thumbnail shows us our pattern image, and the second thumbnail shows us a black box representing the whole surface of our layer with white color indicating the area of our layer that reveals our imagery. Everything that is black is hidden. If we hover over this second thumbnail, we will see that it's called a layer mask thumbnail. So what does this mean? Does it mean that if we take a brush with white color and paint on this layer mask, I could expand the visible area of this layer? Let's try it. And that's how it works. Painting with black on the layer mask hides areas of the layer. In GIMP, let's copy our pattern and go into the line drawing document and paste it. We will create a new layer for it. Let's hide it for a second so we can select one of the segments in our line drawing. Once we have a selection, let's make our pattern layer visible and select it. And let's go to the main menu under Layer, Mask, Add Layer Mask. From the options, let's pick Selection and click OK. We can pick a brush and select white as the brush color and select the layer mask thumbnail. And let's start painting just so we can see that our layer mask can be adjusted. So for a second, let's go to a different image and experiment with this idea. I will open the image named Tools. I will double click on the background layer to unlock it. And now I will click on this button on the left of the Adjustment Layers button. If you hover over it, it should say Add Layer Mask. So what can we expect from this? We expect a second thumbnail to show up next to our image thumbnail that will give us a black and white representation of our layer. Wherever we see white in this representation, it will be what part of our image on this layer is revealed, and what is in black is the representation that will be hidden. As soon as we click on this button and we get our layer mask, we see something that makes sense. We have a layer mask which is all white in the representation of the layer, which means that everything we see on this layer is revealed. So what will happen if I pick up the brush with black color and I start painting over a certain area? We expect that it will be hidden, right? Let's see. And that's exactly what happened. What we actually see here is the gray and white checkerboard, which indicates transparency. There are no other layers below this one, so we see this pattern, which in essence is blank. If I were to paste one of the patterns from before and place it below this layer, we would see the pattern through this area that I painted black on the layer mask. So what does this tell us? Instead of selecting an area and cutting it out of a layer, in which case we lose it, we can create a layer mask, which will hide what we don't need. And if we want to recover it at some point, we can easily cover the hidden area with some white color, and it's back. Let's do that with the tool in our image, which I made disappear. I will pick up the brush and pick white from the foreground swatch here. To make sure I will be painting on my layer mask, I need to click not only on this layer, but on the layer mask thumbnail. You can see that when you select one of these thumbnails, their corner gets marked with darker edges, so you can tell it's selected. So once I have the layer mask thumbnail selected, I can start painting with white over the area of the layer mask I had hidden before. And now the tool in the image is back. I will undo this, and I want you to notice that the layer mask thumbnail shows us the little dark area we had hidden, and once we paint it in, it becomes white. Now let's get back to the line drawing and the patterns we were embedding into it. I will go to another pattern image, select all and copy, and then go to the line drawing, select one of the segments with the magic wand, and do a paste into from the main menu. If we pick the Move tool and select the first thumbnail of this layer, we can move our pattern image around. This doesn't affect the layer mask, which dictates which part of the layer is showing. If we were to use the Move tool and select on the layer mask thumbnail, we can move our layer mask shape through which we reveal the contents of this layer. And if we click between these two thumbnails, we link them together so we can move them around at the same time. Now, in the case of this line drawing, we don't want to do that, but you can imagine that if you work with a different type of collage, this could be very useful. Let me fill a few more of these segments with patterns. So now if we decided to get rid of the line drawing and we created a solid background, we can use these different pieces to compose a different image. By linking the layer thumbnails with their corresponding layer masks, we can maintain their appearance and we can freely move them around as we work on something new. A trick you can use to select the various pieces belonging to different layers without having to go to the Layers window is by pressing Command on the keyboard and clicking on the piece you want to move around. In more complex compositions, this may not work as efficiently and you will still need to select your layers from the Layers window. But for simpler compositions, you can use this quick method to change which layer you have selected. Continuing from the layer masks we have now explored, let's do something slightly different with them. I will open the files Pennies and Leaves from the Exercise Files folder. I will copy and paste the leaves over the layer of the pennies. I will create a layer mask for the leaves that are on top. Right now we still have the same appearance in our canvas, since we added a layer mask, but the layer mask is covered with white, as we can see on this thumbnail, which indicates that everything on this layer is revealed and not hidden. Now let's pick the Gradient tool from the toolbox. It will be hiding under the Paint Bucket tool. Make sure your Gradient tool has the setting for Linear Gradient, Normal Blend Mode, and 100% opacity. With the layer mask thumbnail selected, let's click and drag on our canvas. We can see that we have created a much smoother transition between what is revealed and what is hidden by our layer mask. In GIMP, we can do the same. I have copied the image of the leaves over the pennies, and with the leaves layer selected, I will go to the main menu under Layer, Mask, Add Layer Mask. From the options, I will select White, Full Opacity. Then, with the layer mask thumbnail selected, I will pick the Gradient tool and make sure the color swatches are black and white. Once I click and drag on the canvas, we will get the same result as what we saw earlier in Photoshop.